Hey guys, and welcome back to Yugioh Everything. My name is Pete, and today we are continuing with the next iteration in a little segment on this channel that we like to call Legacy Reviews. If you've not been by the channel before, or you've never seen this segment on the channel, welcome. This is a segment where I review the original trilogy of Yugioh, the first three shows obviously being Duel Monsters GX and 5Ds, in sequential order, and I give kind of my thoughts on the episodes, the predictions, and the theories going forward in the episodes to come. I can do that because I have never watched the shows before. I have no idea what's about to happen, so it hopefully provides an interesting perspective and different change of pace for you guys out there to hopefully enjoy. With that out of the way, I'm going to jump into the Duel Monsters side of the review, so I hope to see you there. Hey guys, welcome back to the Duel Monsters side of the review. This video will be encompassing all the episode 10s of our original trilogy here, and guys, we did it. We are here. We are at the double-digit mark for episodes. It's a little, it's a little minor victory, but I'm kind of proud of that. So, welcome to episode 10. This episode of Duel Monsters is called Come Out Blue Eyes White Dragon, and man, I think I can without a doubt say this is my favorite episode in the show for Duel Monsters so far. Definitely. And I think by a decent, a healthy margin, I would say. So many great moments, and I might dare to say, my favorite Yugioh moment in the original trilogy, in the first three shows, moment so far at the end of the episode, in this particular episode of Duel Monsters, and I will get to that later, so stay tuned for that end of the review there. But the episode, man, was just great. It was a great episode with so many great moments, a great duel, great action, some just crazy things going on that reminded me of a few things, and let's jump into it, guys. You start off the episode of this obviously being a two-parter. Last episode, we were left with Yugi doing kind of a desperate last attempt to stave off, Ghost Seto Kaiba's Blue Eyes White Dragon that he brought on the field. He brings out the trap card Magical Hats. He hides Dark Magician or Black Magician, however you want to say it. It's really Black Magician, but the subtitles keep saying Dark Magician, so I'll probably change back and forth. He hides that in one of the Magical Hats, and we left off the last episode where, Burst Stream was coming at him, and was it gonna, he had a 1 in 4 chance of dying and losing the rest of his life points. Was Yugi gonna lose? I was pretty sure he was not going to, but they actually showed in this episode some things I didn't expect, but we'll get to that. So, Ghost Seto Kaiba guesses wrong. It wasn't it. He doesn't get it. He guesses the wrong hat, and that allows Yugi to kind of survive another day, basically. But the issue is he needs to defeat the Blue Eyes White Dragon that is seemingly invincible. So he lays a trap card under one of the hats, and at first Ghost Seto Kaiba is kind of shaken by that. Why didn't it appear on the field? Why can't I see it? Because just like Black Magician, it's hidden inside one of the hats. So, again, a 1 in 3 chance of hitting the Black Magician, but now you have a 1 in 3 chance of hitting nothing, and you have the 1 in 3 chance of hitting that trap card. So it really works to Yuki's advantage of a 2 out of 3 chance there. And he hits Spellbinding Circle, he hits the trap card, and that was a way to kind of decrease the life points of the Blue Eyes White Dragon. I love in this episode a great thing that is done in different ways, and maybe kind of breaking the norm, as we see that Duel Monsters kind of does here early on, and what Dylan's told me that this Duelist Kingdom arc really doesn't follow the normal rules that we know today for Yugioh. So now knowing that, I'm kind of just strapped into that idea. But the theme of the episode was to show that, yes, the Blue Eyes White Dragon is extremely powerful. They say it's invincible. However, it can change. It is not completely unbeatable, even though the attack points at 3,000 seems invincible. We can lower them, we can raise them, as we see later in the episode, and we see, with the second one, what Kaiba does. So there is ways to defeat it. We know back in episode 1, Exodia, Yugi does not have Exodia now. We've seen it wipe out 3 Blue Eyes White Dragons all on the field at the same time, all at once. Well, now he's getting them one at a time, and he's having to find, even with a little help, ways to defeat it, and I really did like that. So he uses Spellbinding Circle, lowers the first Blue Eyes White Dragon by 700. That allows him to then get Black Magician, to come out of one of the hats that obviously Ghost Seto Kaiba did not guess right. It's a 25-23 advantage. You're going to win that. That's how math works. Boom. Destroys the first Blue Eyes White Dragon. Knocks 200 life points off of Ghost Seto Kaiba there. And Yugi looks like he's in a good position. The issue is that I find weird, which, they explain, a little bit there, where they give somewhat of an explanation in the episode, is Yugi should know that there's two other Blue Eyes, and the best part is he must have had it in his hand because Ghost Seto Kaiba puts bang, snap of the fingers. That I love that moment of they don't even give the viewer or the characters a second to breathe. That first Blue Eyes is wiped off the field. He loses the 200 life points. Immediately, the second Blue Eyes is put on the field, shoots back at Yugi. Black Magician's destroyed. He loses the 500 life points instantaneously. And so I thought that was a great way to write it, and I thought that was a great just way to edit the episode there. And that was one of the many reasons of why I love this episode. And he explains to him that, like, hey, like, that was kind of a foolish mistake that you didn't remember that I had 3 of those in my deck, that you're making all these careless mistakes because since I've resurrected, he's still going with that you're afraid of me, and that's why you're making these mistakes. And as I said last review, Yugi is clearly what Industrial Illusions and Pegasus have tried to do and get Yuki's off his game. It has worked. He has definitely not been 100% focused on this duel, and that has definitely hurt him. That leads to later in our next scene where we have Seto Kaiba back at his hacking terminal. We learn a lot of things in this episode, and one of them being that Kaiba is not at some random place. He's not at one of Pegasus' facilities. He's at Kaiba Manor, as they call it. He seems like, he obviously is an owner of a company. He's very wealthy. Maybe he has family money going deep into it. Maybe he started the company himself. I don't know. And that's where he is, which then makes the interesting perspective that last episode when we see Pegasus's goons surrounding, he has staked out Seto Kaiba's house and has Pegasus's own goons are patrolling Seto Kaiba's manor. Talk about not only trying to murder a man, stealing his deck, having one of your other goons, your assassins, impersonate Seto Kaiba, but then patrolling and keeping under guard, lock and key his own house. I mean, like, man, does Pegasus really hate Kaiba and really, really wants to take control of his corporation. So I thought that was like a little interesting tidbit that, makes you think as this goes throughout the episode. And then Kaiba learns that, who is Yuki dueling? How could he have a Blue Eyes White Dragon on the field? That's not possible. And the computer's like, yeah, it's Seto Kaiba. And he's like, goddamn Pegasus. He's using someone, a duelist under my name, my fake name, to kind of, to mess with Yuki and also just to give me a bad name to, he doesn't know that he's pretending that, Seto Kaiba's dead, but still to have that possibility on the table. Kaiba's like, how dare Pegasus do that? And it's another kind of shot that Pegasus is laying at him. He also gives... We see that, I know it's only episode 10, and I know actually that they haven't been in person with each other since the first episode where, Yuki not only beat him, but, sent Mind Crush to him and sent kind of Seto into this, to Kaiba into this spiral almost of trying to figure out what the heart of the cards are and all that stuff. He is impressed. He gives him a nod where he's like, man, you knocked the first Blue Eyes White Dragon off the field with no Exodia, but he recognizes that Yuki is in desperate trouble and he needs help. So his idea is, you know what, computer? We can't affect the cards. I guess you could affect the cards if they were in the hand of Ghost Seto Kaiba. You could manipulate them. However, since it manifested on the field, you can't do that. But I can inject a maximum level virus into that card that will decrease the attack points, kind of similar to what Yuki did with the first Blue Eyes, and I could then give Yuki a better fighting chance. I can help him out. Well, you know what? The card, great moments of not only the virus, them sweating it out, and that Yuki, they show him as absolutely vulnerable. He says, is this the end? He asks himself. Ghost Seto Kaiba is saying, hey, you've finally given up. They are showing that, Yuki, for all the smack talk he's been doing for 9 now and 10 episodes now, for all the moments that, against Haga and everyone else, that he's felt in control. Even if he was backed into a corner, he looked like he was going to win. This shows right here, he wasn't going to win. He was absolutely going to lose. Just like we saw in, I think it was episode 8, where Ryo beat Judai, and that was it. We see our main protagonist, boom, he loses. We've seen Yusei not lose in the present, but we've seen him so far lose in the past to Jack Atlas. And now we're showing here that even though Yuki does not lose in this duel, that he absolutely would have if it wasn't for some illegal assistance. Now, I'm not saying that that's a bad thing, because Pegasus and his goons have been cheating this entire time with their illusions, messing with everyone's minds and hearts and all that stuff, stealing Seto Kaiba's deck, not even using your own deck, and obviously Seto Kaiba's deck being extremely powerful with the 3 Blue Eyes White Dragons. So there's a little room for Seto to help out and kind of attack someone that is impersonating him, but definitely it shows that, hey, our protagonist was in serious, dangerous trouble. So I really did like that, and it's something that, as I've brought up watching this original trilogy, is, in VRAINS, the first show I started with, Yusaku doesn't lose a single time. A single time. The closest he is to losing is drawing. And having mutual destruction. So it's nice to see when our protagonists not only either lose or straight up were going to lose, if not for some unforeseen event that is going to happen. So the second Blue Eyes is there. He has defense paralysis, so there's no way that Yuki defend himself, and it's 100% over. And now you have the moment of a very tense situation of, the virus is over 50%, it's over 70%, it's over 90%, and it's having no effect on the attack points whatsoever. And then finally, when it gets to about 95%, it starts deteriorating the Blue Eyes, and it's a great visual image, great animation, where the just Blue Eyes White Dragon is just literally melting and bubbling away, and it gets all the way down to about 2,000 attack points or so. So something probably Yuki could work with. However, with the Feral Ape on the field that only has 1,300 attack points and Yuki only having 500, it's over still. The difference is 700. It's over even with the 2,000 attack points. Even after getting it down 1,000 attack points. The great reactions of Ghost Seto Kaiba, the great reactions of everyone of what the hell is going on. Even the reaction of me of like, wow, this is how we're going to do it. Seto's really going to help him out here. And I like the almost bond, even though they haven't been together, that Yuki and Kaiba are developing as the show goes on here. But something happens. A miracle, as they say, happens. And Yuki was not only going to lose if Seto, didn't interfere, he was going to lose even with him interfering, because Pegasus, being the smart person he is, another great scene, he goes, contact the central control center, Seto Kaiba's alive. He knows exactly what is happening. He knows that the only person that would be affecting this card right now, the only person that'd be good enough at this hacking, the only person that would feel so disparaged that someone is kind of impersonating him, has to be the real Seto Kaiba himself. He shuts down the central facility. Everything freezes, the attack points stop at 2,000, and it's still going to be hopeless. Yuki is still going to lose. I mean, Pegasus does this great moment, and you guys could tell me down below, where he literally trolls Seto Kaiba by having these like rabbit-like creatures just kind of appear on the screen and are just saying, Kaiba, hello Kaiba, over and over and over. Now, I don't know if that's like a popular character that I should recognize. Maybe it's something in Japanese kind of children's shows, morning cartoons. I don't know. You guys can let me know that down below. There's probably some significance to that. I don't think it's something random. But it shows that Yuki is still screwed. It shows that, yeah, Kaiba, he can't help anymore. The screen is frozen. Pegasus's agents are invading the situation. They're invading the manor. They're stopping the situation. And Burst Stream is still coming at Yuki. And then a literal miracle, as I said earlier, happens, and the entire card, the second Blue Eyes White Dragon, just evaporates off the field. And it's, again, another amazing moment for me in this episode, an episode of many amazing moments, where, why? The computer, Kaiba goes, it can't analyze it. Yuki realizes, when Kaiba screams out and he slams the control panel and he goes, Yuki goes, Kaiba? Like, it's almost like they have this just, like, this spiritual connection, which could be possible given all the stuff we've been seeing so far of Yuki's alter ego with the Millennium Puzzle, and there's probably some spiritual elements to that they almost were able to talk to reach each other. For Yuki to realize in that moment that Kaiba is alive, that he's the only one that could have done this, and that he's doing it for him and also to protect his own name and to protect his brother and his company and all that stuff. But I like that almost, just spiritual connection between the two of them. And for him to wonder, for Kaiba to go, is this the heart of the cards? Like, what caused this miracle to happen? I thought was a beautiful, fantastic moment. Yuki snaps out of it. He's able to go, I know that, you definitely are the fake Seto Kaiba. Seto Kaiba's alive. Mokuba realizes that I knew my brother was alive. Everyone is realizing it after Mokuba explains it to people like Anzu and stuff like that. And I thought that moment was absolutely fantastic. It almost sent like chills down my spine of having Kaiba say, is this the heart of the cards? And now Yuki calls out the imposter once again. And he goes, you know what? You can't fool me. You can't fool any of us with any of this anymore. Show us your true identity. And you get this really like gruesome and gross moment of kind of the fake, illusion going away. The body starts bulging and the face gets all crazy. And this really like ugly like character with pink hair kind of comes out as the real perpetrator, saying he's like, the minister of death or impersonator of death, something like that, that's working for Industrial Illusions. So you knew he was with Pegasus's pocket, and that now he's more comfortable in this true form, and hey, let's finish the rest of the duel. The issue, not the issue, but the funny part, I guess, for me, is that maybe you guys got this vibe out there. The character looks very Dragon Ball Z like, right? Like someone that would be part of the Ginyu Force for Frieza on planet Namek. Like looks very eerily similar to that. So I thought that was really, really funny. Weird, interesting moment, I thought. And guys, obviously no spoilers, but let me know down below what you thought of this moment. At least if you watched this 15, 20 years ago, what you thought of in that moment. It cuts back to Pegasus. And, his guards are telling him, yeah, Seto Kaiba's gone, you could leave him, blah, blah, blah. He goes, oh, Blue Eyes was destroyed. Miracles do happen. Impressive, Yuki boy. They say luck is a part of skill. Interesting, isn't it? Is the show suggesting that, hey, maybe it wasn't the heart of the cards? Now, it could have been, and I hope it was. But are we saying that maybe, just maybe, Pegasus manipulated the situation so that Yuki could survive another day? Because even though if he loses, Pegasus still gets what he wants. But being the ego-driven maniac, the great villain, the one that I kind of love, that like the way he talks, you want to smack him, but like at the same time, I can't explain it. I just love it. And I love every scene usually that he's on screen. Is that a moment where his ego, the egomaniac that he is, he wants to be the ones, as he said time and time again now, I want to beat him with my own hands, and he says that in this episode. Did he manipulate that? I don't know. Really interesting to kind of think about whether it was luck, was it just a heart of the cards, or was it Pegasus saying, hey, it's luck, but really he had direct manipulation on that second Blue Eyes White Dragon being destroyed. He also says, hey, let Seto Kaiba go. He's not even worried about him. No problem there. He wants to see him probably beat Kaiba or torture him in some way. That's kind of how he wants that there. And you see the bodyguard kind of getting worried of like, the idea of him and the imposter is that there's still one Blue Eyes White Dragon in your deck. You need to survive. He plays a whole bunch of defense cards, and Yuki recognizes this strategy as well. He's just stalling time until he can pull that third Blue Eyes White Dragon, because he knows that Yuki, there's no way, with Kaiba, with Yuki's skill, there is no way he will be able to beat a third Blue Eyes White Dragon in one duel. It's not going to happen. So the stalling techniques going on and on. Yuki recognizes it, and he keeps playing. He plays Celtic Guardian. He plays another trap card on the field, and then he plays Mystical Elf. And so when Mystical Elf gets played, she starts, chanting something, and even our imposter that works for Pegasus says, oh, I don't care what they're chanting. It doesn't mean anything. You're basically doomed, right? No big deal. But when they say something like that, when a villain or an adversary is pointing towards our protagonist's cards or some moment, you know that's going to come back in some way, shape, or form. And it definitely comes back full circle. And so Mystical Elf gets played, all that happens. He gets the moment that you know is going to happen. But right before that, though, the guy makes this weird imposter moment that made me laugh, where, like, I guess he's really good at tricks and looking different ways. He, like, puts his arm over his face, boom, comes back. He, all of a sudden, his head appears as Pegasus, and then he turns back to what he is. Like, he's just messing around. Just, like, really like, weird moment in this episode, but it did make me laugh. And Jinochi, points out that, the obvious thing of, their face-down cards are what's going to decide this duel and stuff like that. He draws the third Blue Eyes White Dragon. You knew it was going to happen. I mean, come on. There's no way that this episode was going to end, that this duel was going to end if we didn't get a third Blue Eyes on the field. It just had to happen. He draws it. Yuki knows, hey, I might be screwed here. Everyone is is worried about the situation. And I'm saying, as I'm watching it in live time, I said his trap card, any way that he's going to be able to defeat this, he has to use Mirror Force. It has to be Mirror Force. As someone who is not really familiar with the card game, with the anime as you guys are seeing, that's why you're watching this segment, I that's one thing I've predicted correctly so far, and he brings out Mirror Force. It would be a great move by Yuki. What a fantastic job to destroy a third Blue Eyes White Dragon. The issue is that the imposter had a spell card, a trap card of his own, which was like negate attack, I think, or something like that. And it negates, as it says, it negates the entire attack and kind of puts Yuki back on his heels, back to square one without a Mirror Force as he wasted the move. So you paint him in this situation where, okay, the move that the imposter he predicted, he said, I know everything's going to happen. He's got that out of the way. There's no Kaiba to help you. He has no more Black Magician anymore. How is Yuki going to get out of this situation? And I'm generally wondering, and boom, he pulls another OG card out of his ass, and it's Monster Reborn. And I didn't know this, and you guys could tell me down below. I guess that's an effect of Monster Reborn. I thought it had to be one of your cards that was sent to the graveyard that you could bring back. Apparently, I guess you could bring back your opponent's cards, and he brings back a Blue Eyes White Dragon on the field. What an amazing moment to have Kaiba's card, the Blue Eyes White Dragon, his ace that Yuki is using. And the imposter goes, he's totally fine. He doesn't care. He's not trying to win the tournament. He's trying to help his boss out. He's trying to knock Yugi out of the tournament. And he goes, hey, you've lost your cool. You're going to go with mutual destruction? He's totally cool with that. And Yuki goes back to the moment of, now, Mystical Elf has been chanting something since he got on the field. You knew it was alluded to earlier. It would have to come back. And the chant was to add her attack points over to Blue Eyes White Dragon. It ups it to 4,100, and now 4,100 to 3,000. Simple math with a guy that I think the imposter only has 500 life points as well. It's going to be great. And I love that Yuki screams, prepare to feel Kaiba's anger, holy burst stream, wipes out the imposter, knocks him to 0 life points. And here we go, guys. Probably my favorite moment in the trilogies so far in the first 3 shows. In a split second, just like that second Blue Eyes White Dragon came in no time, Yuki, for the second time in the show now, goes, hey, you disgraced Kaiba, you play with all our hearts, mind crush. And probably it's not going to be in the same way that it happened with Kaiba, where he wants, Kaiba to kind of learn about the heart of the cards and change as a person. He wants this imposter to forever be affected by that, almost handicapping him, I imagine, in some way. I thought it was a really powerful moment. To then follow that up with this whole scene is my favorite moment. From the mind crush to straight up having this dark silhouette with the white eyes, not seeing the Yuki, almost seeing probably the other side of him that's been dueling this entire time. Not the Yuki that we know, the fun-loving one, the darkness that's in him. To call out Pegasus and say, I know you could feel my anger, and almost that Pegasus's TV just somehow spiritually lights up. His wine starts rippling and saying, hey, you disgraced Seto Kaiba with this filthy fake person. I'm never going to forgive you, and I want you to know that you better be ready. And bang, the glass shatters. Wine pours all over Pegasus's hands on the table. The light on the TV just goes out. And Pegasus recognizes that, yeah, you have incredible shadow powers, Yuki boy, and I can't wait to beat you even more with my bare hands. And I thought, one more, and what an amazing scene, guys. And I think what would have just made it that much more powerful is if the eye that Pegasus is wearing just gleamed, just had a little bit of shimmer. If they did that and you heard the sound effect, I thought that would have made the scene 100% amazing. I mean, it's 99% already, but that would have been it. I can't describe to you how much chills were up my spine. I absolutely love that scene. Yuki grabs Kaiba's deck, and Hondo goes, he's worried for a moment, and the episode ends with them saying, hey, where's Mokuba? Which, I mean, come on, you knew they weren't, the guard didn't promise anything, and you knew they weren't getting Mokuba back that easily because of what he represents and the knowledge that he has with all that information, the key that he has to the storage facility for Kaiba Corporation. You knew Pegasus wasn't going to play fair or give it up that easily. So guys, yeah, that's my very long review here on Duel Monsters episode 10. Please let me know what you thought down below. Some of my favorite moments, my favorite Duel Monsters by far, some of my favorite moments so far in the original trilogy so far, and my favorite moment, that ending mind crush scene and that moment of him threatening Pegasus. Absolutely awe-inspiring, chills up your spine. I loved it, guys. So let me know what you thought of that down below. I'm going to switch over to the GX side of the review, so I will see you there. Alright guys, welcome back to the GX side of the review. This is GX episode 10, Judai and Sho Tag Team Duel Part 1. So if it wasn't clear that this episode that we've been waiting a few episodes for now, of this tag team duel that they were going to have to face so they're not expelled from Duel Academy, if it wasn't clear, there is going to be a second part, so thanks episode title. Yeah, not the Japanese are not fantastic in naming their episode titles, and if you guys know me, or I'll just tell you now, I'm usually a sucker for episode titles, and it usually means a lot to me, and I look into it, and I really do like that part when I'm watching a TV show. They haven't really impressed me in any of these shows so far in the original trilogy with a great episode title name. But anyway, I digress. The episode, which was a very good episode, a very good kind of appetizer to what we're going to get in the second part of this duel. It was a really, really good episode. It wasn't just simply a setup episode. It was a really solid dueling, great character moments, and a little bit of callbacks. Now, I will say right off the bat, you know what? Actually, you know what? I'll save it. I'll just go in sequential order of the review as I usually do. So the episode starts off with, Instructor Kronos being the usual a-hole self that he is. He's walking the hallways, and he made it clear, I think before, but I guess it kind of resonated with me in this episode that, yeah, he hates Yuki Judai, especially. He hates Judai, definitely, 100%. That's the most hated person probably at the school. However, he hates all of the Red Dorm. He views them as, why should this prestigious duel academy even have that level? We should probably just have yellow and blue. Why even have that level? Because they're all dropouts. He even kind of scares them by saying they're pathetic and, they're losers, basically, and all the kids run inside. Manjomi comes up, and we haven't seen him in a little bit. And he's like, hey, I want to be one of the opponents in the tag team duel against Judai. And Instructor Kronos actually being one of, Manjomi being one of the prize pupils of Obelisk Blue, and definitely would be someone that Instructor Kronos would normally be like, oh, almost sucking up to, of like, this is one of my prize students. Kind of has the opposite effect that I didn't expect, where he's like, hey, I already have duelists picked out for this already, and you know what, you should worry about yourself before you fall into raw yellow. So that was a little moment that I didn't expect there. So you see, the crew kind of in the dorm, they're getting ready. And Haito makes the point of saying, which I don't know why he ran and almost missed the beginning of the duel when he should have just left with Judai and Sho, and that wouldn't have been a problem whatsoever. So that was like one of those like moments where I'm like, Haito, come on, put your head on your shoulders, buddy, and think logically here. But they have the moment where they're getting ready for their decks, and Judai is in classic fashion, as Haito points out, like he loves dueling. He says, dueling's fun, and Haito goes, yeah, that might be your strength of why you could be so good, because Judai literally, he loves it. He relishes in it, and I guess, we don't know too much about his backstory, but there could be a lot worse things in the world I think he sees, and that dueling shouldn't be one of them. Almost like a professional sports player, right? At the end of the day, you could take your craft seriously, you could want to be the best, but you're just playing a game, right? And dueling is just a game. And I think that's how Judai takes it seriously, but he loves that it gets his blood pumping. He loves that people watching is getting his blood pumping. He loves the opponents that he goes against in this episode is getting his blood pumping based on the legacy that they have. And that keeps his character going. And we see that, where, as I've referenced before in other reviews, Yuki is someone that has been kind of the downright clear protagonist of the show, the most talented that we've seen so far through the 10 episodes. And he's really been the one that we've seen the most of. He's the one that, he can, I guess, inspire his friends, but it's more so that his friends and the situations around him inspire Yuki. Yusei has it where he tends to carry the emotions, the weight of everyone around him. Even though he doesn't necessarily want to be that beacon of hope, he ends up standing up to the bully, standing up to the oppressors, against the people that are being oppressed, and being that symbol of greatness. Judai is someone who, he loves dueling, he loves the fun of it, and he doesn't even realize it, even though he has some moments where he's giving, heartfelt advice, that he is someone who inspires others to be great, to be different, whether it's a Haito or a Sho or an Asuka. He changes people. And so they have similarities, as I've pointed out before, but they definitely also have differences, and I like that it kind of well rounds our three protagonists throughout this trilogy. I really do love that. And we see as they enter the duel kind of ring, kind of where they all started back in the beginning, where I think it's almost the same arena that Instructor Kronos lost at to Judai in the first episode. Maybe it's not. Maybe that was on the mainland, but very similar looking. And the headmaster's there, and he's asking, they're going to face, obviously, Obelisk Blue students, which would be the best of the best, or teachers. You're not really saying that you're going to take them on yourself, basically after your humiliating loss. And, there's this interesting relationship between, Kronos and the headmaster, where, Kronos clearly can manipulate the headmaster a little bit, and the headmaster is totally into just the spectacle of dueling and the possibilities and the wonder of it. But he also definitely could cut down Kronos, and so I really like that. And then you have just those random moments that they have in there of Kronos saying Parmesan cheese is I don't even know. It's just part of his Italian character, I guess. It's odd. But he says that he brought in someone who is specifically kind of has them answer for their crimes, which was way back, if you don't recall, when they went to the off limits kind of shut down dorm that was not they weren't supposed to be in, obviously. And then Kronos hired that fake shadow kind of assassin that they ended up beating, and he ran away and then got trapped in an actual shadow game and all that happening. And they were really in there to go after Asuka, and that's why she blames herself and says that she should be Judai's partner in this. But somehow I think he's going to make it out of it, because that's what he inspires in people. And now this is one of these moments that I was about to allude to earlier, that I said I go in sequential order for, that you guys have been saying, mostly without spoilers, so I really do appreciate that, guys, in the comments, where the problem is of doing these three shows simultaneously and watching them together is, I'm going to either spoil or there's going to be weird overlap for myself. And I suspect this is one of those moments where you get these brothers on screen, these tag team duelists. They're legendary pro duelists. And Kronos says that, they once went against the king of duelists, Yugi. And so I know, even though I haven't seen Duel Monsters already, that at some point Yugi will come across, probably Jinochi, because it's going to be a tag team duel. They will come across these brothers, and they will have to face them. So it kind of spoils that for me, even though I don't know when that would be coming. I see that there is going to be a little bit of problem to doing these reviews together. I definitely am going to keep going with that method. I just recognize that, yes, here's one of the problems that could happen. So you have these legendary duelists, which is a really cool moment, and maybe it won't be a cool moment for me right now, because for me, this is the first time meeting them. It'll kind of be the reverse effect, where the characters in the show is the first time meeting them, and the viewers who normally watched it in sequential order, show to show, their first time would be meeting them in Duel Monsters. For me, it will be the second time, so that will kind of be my, oh shit, there they are kind of moment. So I'll be kind of doing it in the reverse order. The headmaster does make a kind of a point of like, hey, these guys are like real pro duelists, and these are supposed to be kids at a school kind of like learning, so this is a little bit overkill. And then, you know, Kronos kind of pleads his way and gets his way, and now they're going to go against these pro duelists, which is kind of a little bit unfair, but classic Kronos, right? All it does is pump Judai up more of facing duelists that once faced the king of duelists in Yukimoto. And then, you know, Kronos lays out the rules that, hey, you can't give your partner any advice, and that you share the field together. So, you know, if you attack one side, it takes down both of your life points. Obviously, both teams get the double amount. They get 8,000 life points. That wasn't anything shocking there. When they say that you could attack either side of the field, it makes sense because you share the life points, but it also, as we see as the episode goes on, means you could pick on the weaker opponent. Kind of, it reminds me of tennis, right? So, if Dylan, if you're listening to this, you'll totally get this. When you play doubles, right, usually the strategy is to communicate well with your partner, right, and make sure you're in sync. So that's what they're trying to do in this episode as a tag team duelist. And you're also going to try to pick on the weaker opponent. That's going to be to your advantage, and that's exactly what the brothers do in this episode. They pick on Sho, and even Kronos points out that that is complete effective strategy. And I feel bad for Sho in this episode because, you know, he starts off where he doesn't want to fail his quote-unquote bro in Judai. He doesn't want to fail his actual bro. Everyone's in attendance here. He doesn't want to fail his actual bro in Ryo, who's up in the stands, the Kaiser. He wants to prove to him, even Ryo is saying in his own head, he's saying, hey, show me the skill that you have. Show me what you've learned. You see him referencing and looking at power bonds earlier in the episode and what that means and all that it's riding on these two people in Ryo and his, you know, his fake pseudo brother in Judai, how they believe in him or want to believe in him in Ryo's case, and that he needs to prove himself. And so he starts with, he's nervous, but he starts actually with confidence throughout this episode. And as he gets worn down more and more mistakes happen, and more he's picked on, and more his moves are hurting Judai, he starts losing more and more confidence, and it's only going to hurt them as a team. So he really needs to snap out of that, because, you know, Judai's not picking on him. He's not saying, hey man, like, pick it up, like, you're killing us. He's saying, hey, you know, it's a long duel, it's just beginning, like, hey, we got this, we're gonna win, right? And he's doing exactly what he should do, not only as a friend, but as the stronger partner, keeping your other partner, who you know has less confidence, who is not as skilled as you, engaged and going and in the flow of the duel. So they need to work together, because the brothers, as are pointing out by, you know, Misawa and Asuka, they have incredible chemistry. They know each other's decks. They know what they're doing. They're pro duelists. They work perfectly in sync. Every move is calculated amazingly. Whether it's the tribute dolls of taking someone else's monsters or doing other moves that get their Gate Guardian on the field later. They know exactly what they're doing, and it's really actually impressive to watch. And for me, you know, unlike you guys who watch the shows in sequential order, I'm watching it for the first time. Other cool moments in the episode, we've seen a new elemental hero for Judai, where he took Clayman and Burst Drinks or whatever, and he made, I think, like a Rampar shot or something like that, I think the monster was called. And that ended up having this cool effect where if that monster's in defense mode, which he put it in, it deals like half of its attack points as direct damage to the player. So it shoots off like 2 missiles, it hits each one of the brothers, and they actually take off 1,000 life points that the brothers are pretty impressed at, and that everyone else is pretty impressed at. And Sho is even saying, like, man, you know, bro, Judai he really truly is amazing. And so that was the only good moment that our protagonists, that our heroes had, because, you know, even his Steam G-Roid or whatever, Goroid that Sho had, which he regarded as a pretty powerful monster for himself, that pretty much gets wiped off the floor. The Steam Gyroid or whatever, his trap card that he thought could help out Judai and assist him, that's completely stopped by the Gate Guardian, and they just get more and more pieces. They get that out, and then they get as the attack, and then they get out the defense wall monster that ends up being their kind of stoppage. It kind of stops everything, where now they have to, as Judai and Sho, they have to target the defense wall. All their attacks have to go towards that. So they're going to need something that's going to be over 2100, and it probably is going to have some effect to it as well. It can't be just simply spawning something, drawing a card and putting it on the field that is going to be over 2100 attack points. There has to be something more to the defense wall, I imagine. So they have a pretty flawless strategy going of an attack monster, of a defense monster, and, it's going to be hard to get through them. And poor Sho, man, is getting, and very much as we saw, Yusei, as we have Kronos looking on and just enjoying every second, Yusei is, as we see Yusei getting electrocuted in his part of the duel, and we'll get to that, you have Sho getting really electrocuted and abused in this episode, man. And even Kronos, in a weird moment, he pays a little bit of a compliment to Judai, saying, yeah, he's surprisingly tenacious, but hey, the brothers are working on the weak-willed, kind of the other side of the opponent in Sho Marufuji, and it really makes you feel for that poor bastard. And it was Rampart Blaster. That was our new elemental hero that we saw on the field. Really enjoyed that moment. The back and forth was really good. I'm interested to see where our heroes are going to go here, with defense wall up, with gate guarding up, which are all both appropriately named in creating this expert defense for our brothers. How are they going to get through that? What is the moves they're going to create? We see poor Sho get abused. We see him further kind of doubting his abilities. And then we get the shot right at the end of Judai almost sinisterly, darkness over his head, looking down at the ground. I thought he was going to laugh there at the end of the episode. Maybe he'll laugh at the beginning of episode 11, but that's where they leave us off. So guys, let me know if I missed anything, or let me know what you thought of episode 10, the first part of the tag team duel here for Judai and Sho, down below. I would love to hear your thoughts. Obviously no spoilers, but yeah, what was your guys' feelings when you first watched this and kind of seen the return of these tag team artists, these duelists that apparently fought Yukimoto and are probably will show up in Duel Monsters for me? Let me know what you thought of that the first time. Don't tell me what episode they appear in, but let me know your feelings when they popped up in GX. How nostalgic were you? All right, guys, I'm going to jump over to the 5Ds, final part of the review, so I'll see you there. All right, guys, and welcome back to the final part of the review. This is the 5D side of the review, episode 10, Zero Deck Break the Chain Trap Loop, and that is definitely actually an appropriate title. I was just kind of ripping on episode titles last episode with GX, and now I'm saying this is an appropriate title for 5Ds of what is going on. Really good episode. Really did enjoy it. It was a great second part to this duel against the Chief. I really wanted to see something really bad happen to him, and I definitely got that in this episode. And once again, just shows me and proves to me why Yusei at this moment is my favorite protagonist out of all four of the shows, including VRAINS. And then I'm just enjoying the most, and I'm just enjoying the mystique, I don't know if this is the right word, but just the general sense of this show and what is going on, and what is, Rex Godwin and Iliaster up to and all that stuff. It's just a very, very intriguing, engaging show that I do enjoy. So the episode really just starts off with them showing a reference, and this it's funny watching one of the I talked about the downside with the GX side of the review of watching all three of these shows simultaneously is that it could spoil potential things for myself, right? But one of the upsides of it is that I can see comparisons and kind of legacy of cards or certain animation techniques or story elements that kind of resonate through all the shows. And you see that here, where you had in Duel Monsters, you had them saying the whole thing about, the chant of the mystical elf. And, the guy that worked for Pegasus, it doesn't really, mean anything, doesn't matter, I'm going to crush you anyway. Boom, that was an illusion, not an illusion, no, I guess kind of an illusion. It was alluding to, for the audience, the moment that it was going to come back to, and that hey, that's going to mean something. Happens right here at the beginning of this episode, where you get the, I expected that, given that they're in the detention center and that they're facing the chief, who is definitely not going to play fair, as you saw that the electricity didn't go through his dual disc last episode. No surprise that he's using the security cameras to kind of cheat and look at Yusei's cards. Anyone that's a cheater in a card game, whether poker or blackjack or anything else, not surprising that he is doing that here, but you get the allusion to that. They allude to it with the sparkling of the cameras at the beginning of the episode, and that not only reaffirms that, hey, he is cheating when he outright says it later on, but Yusei is aware of that and uses that to his advantage. The blackout as well, but we'll get to that. So I do like when story moments kind of echo back in a general sense that, yeah, any TV show could do that. But for me, watching all these Yugioh shows simultaneously, it kind of alludes back into the writing and the imagery of that previous show. His deck, the Chief's deck, is interesting, as I said. It's very prison-like, chain-like, but it's specific. He has things that not only can, strategize with each other, which is totally a normal deck, but his deck is set up in a way that it's supposed to destroy the other opponent's deck. And what I mean by that is not eroding their life points, which is the ultimate goal. It's to discard cards to your graveyard. Like, that's what his deck, for the most part, is set up. And he's making the point of saying, garbage will always be garbage. I'm showing you that, this loser deck that you made from those loser cards, from those loser people. I'm showing you what it is and why it means nothing, why it is worthless. When Yusei is trying to fight and say that no one is worthless, the chief is trying to prove that you're all worthless. And then Himuro points out that, hey, I see his strategy now. There's only 19 cards left in Yusei's deck. He's trying to destroy Yusei's deck. So he has this devastating effect of poison chain, where it's discarding the cards based on the total number of the level of the monsters that the chief has on his field. Then when you discard cards from your deck, you have Paralyzing Chain, which is 300 points of damage, which in this duel is on top of you getting electrocuted. So it's a pretty solid wall that the chief has going. You have the moment there where Yusei's bunkmate there and is escaping, where you would think that Yusei, and, when Ayama is getting out, you would think that he would be, I don't know, butthurt, I guess the word. Like, he would be resentful of, hey, wow, you left me here, even though they don't even really know each other. But he's not. He's actually happy that Ayama is getting out, and he says, good, I'll buy you enough time, enough of a distraction for you to escape, even when, he sees the cell and he's glad he's gone. But Ayama, he gets out, he goes, hey, forgive me, Yusei. He gets all the way to the end. He's right there. His friends are shining the signal, the light. He could escape to the higher, echelon of Neo-Dominus City and get out of this detention center, and he doesn't. Because Yusei's words have inspired him, have not even inspired him, they've almost made him feel guilty, in the sense that he's like, oh, I can never truly be free. That's what Yusei said. That's why he couldn't escape without his friends. I'll never truly be free knowing that they are not actually physically free, that there'll always be shackles on my heart. And Ayama, that affected him, and he goes back. He helps out Yusei. He helps out really the rest of the prisoners, but Yusei, in the moment, he's the one in the middle of the duel. And he goes into the electrical maintenance room, and he messes with things, causes a blackout, which causes Yusei to be able to, he figured that the cameras were watching him, but it gives him just a moment to switch cards around, to hide his secret card that he gets at the end there. And, more importantly in some ways, it reactivates the electricity in the dual disc that the chief shut off, and actually gets him to feel it when he loses life points. So Ayama really coming through there, and it shows that Yusei, yeah, he was just answering a question. He wasn't trying really to inspire anyone. He was trying to answer a question of, hey, this is why I can't leave. Hey, I'm wishing you luck. I'll even provide enough of a distraction. He was happy that Ayama got out, but it nagged and inspired and almost made Ayama guilty in what he said, and it shows the character that he can have. And I hope he's a character that will kind of ride with us, because I kind of like the demeanor that he has so far. So hopefully he won't be a one-off character. We go back into the duel, and they're kind of attacking each other. We see, again, alluding to old shows, one of the cards that the Chief uses is Mystical, like, Space Tycoon or whatever. I just saw Sho use that in episode 10. It failed, just like it fails here for the Chief. Well, no, actually, here it didn't fail because he got rid of the trap card Dust Tornado, which would have helped Yusei out, and that's because he's cheating with the cameras. But kind of, again, alluding back to similar cards, same things. That's a nice homage that I'm starting to pick on. So one of the upsides of watching these shows simultaneously. He's trying to destroy Poison Chain, because if he gets rid of that, then he could stop freaking, having to send cards to his graveyard. Doesn't really work out. He has the cage up, and that's kind of backfiring for him. Everything really Yusei is doing is going wrong throughout this duel, and it's a very I would say for me entertaining duel, even though it's kind of messed up because you're watching the torture of Yusei go forward as Himuro as Grandpa is, as he keeps getting 200, 800, 300 just life points over and over, and the Chief has the nerve to keep mocking him. I mean, like, oh, you lost your fighting spirit there, hero. Oh, you look a little weary, hero. Oh, I'm willing to accept your surrender. Yeah, it's all, tough talk, as they're saying, like Himuro's saying, and everyone else is saying. Yeah, it's tough talk when you're losing life points and you're not even getting electrocuted as well. So he's like, yeah, I'll accept your surrender. And then when Yusei is, he's not for that, he's still, hey, that's all you have to say. He turns around and goes, all right, I'll just send you to hell then, because he's trying to kill him. And the blackout happens, as I talked about. Everything then gives Yusei a chance, even though he doesn't even realize that it gives him. Well, he used that chance to his advantage. He doesn't realize that Ayama is the one that didn't escape, that is helping Yusei out in this moment, that gave him the opportunity to switch around his cards to hide his secret card that he ends up using there at the end. He doesn't even realize it yet, and it'll benefit him there. So having a friend come through for you, someone that you barely just met, just became your cellmate, it affected him enough that he was able to come in and help Yusei and get the Chief the moment I wanted. Getting the Chief electrocuted, where Grandpa's like, yeah, that's bad acting, and Himuro's like, no, this is different. And for just a split second, I really thought that the way the Chief kind of collapsed and he got electrocuted, which is an amazing moment to watch him get hit twice there. Getting the extra 200 there at the end with the Exile Force, which is another great card because all these prisoners, they're exiled, they're all outcasts, they're all garbage as they're being called. Great card to use in that moment to fry the Chief. When he fell over, I thought almost it was going to be like a no result, or Yusei was going to win by forfeit, because I didn't know if he was going to be tough enough, even though he's a big man, to actually get up and continue going with the duel. I was glad he did, just for pure entertainment purposes, but that also would have been great too if Yusei won like that, just proving that he is the fighting spirit. No matter, he got hit so many other times and he'd be able to get up, and the Chief gets hit one time and he just kind of keels over and basically dies or gets knocked out and can't even do it. But he yells at Ayama. The guards catch him. They explain it, and he straight up says to Ayama, hey, I'm going to get rid of the satellite garbage, meaning Yusei, and then I'm going to kill you. So talk about power and authority running rampant. And Ayama has full confidence in Yusei, saying, yeah, he's going to beat you. And Yusei goes, why'd you come back? And he explains to him, why. Of that, it was, Yusei's words that kind of guilted him into it. But Yusei making the move of, hey, you're going to ignore his escape attempt if I win. I'm adding that stipulation on. And Ayama just goes, yeah, Yusei, in a very, kind of sympathetic voice, in the sense of, he doesn't realize that, hey, he did this great thing for Yusei and really for all the prisoners in there. And Yusei is willing to go, hey, even though he didn't need Ayama, he was glad that he was escaping. He was happy that he was going to buy time for him. He's going to add that stipulation. He's going to add that risk that I'm going to beat him, and you're also going to add this. You're going to save that man's life, and you're going to ignore his escape attempt. And see, those moments, those sacrifices, that's what builds bonds and creates people to be stronger and closer together. So I really do like that moment. Again, speaks to why I love Yusei Fudo so much. But they go back to their duel. Yusei's really kind of tearing down the wall. He's knocking out the cards. He's knocking out the chain snakes. He's knocking down the repairman. He's looking good for a while. The issue is he's really down to 4 cards in his deck. He still has the security cameras going on, even though the blackout helped him, and the chief doesn't realize that at this point. And that's a great moment to have the chief realize that, like, yeah, you should have been more on alert. You should have realized that, yeah, maybe something could have been afoot, that I switched something around in the blackout, and that your move didn't exactly work. So now that, you know, you couldn't guess it right, you guessed the wrong card, Battle Mania started now. The trap card that you were trying to destroy, it actually was the one that Yusei gets to draw out there, and that forces that, hey, you can't use the poison chain effect. You can't force me to discard any more cards. The problem is, though, it's still the Chief's duel, and in kind of a fashion that I expected. I think this is the first time. No, yeah, this is the first time that we're seeing a character beside either Jack or Yusei use a synchro summon. If I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong. If that cop did it down below. And we'll get to him, but he synchro summons, he gets a chain, dragon. It ends up adding, 1,000, attack points from, the 5 cards that are in the Chief's graveyard. And you're like, shit, we're in kind of a rough situation. Yusei gets all, and of course the effect is, of the chain dragon is discarding more cards. That's just what the Chief's deck is, which then activates the poison chain snake, and it gets, Yusei thinks he's avoiding the poison chain snake, and boom, he just gets shoved right in his face, gets down to his classic 100 life points that he seems to always be at in every single duel. However, with one card in his hand, he hid that card during the blackout, and he gives this great speech of, hey, you called us garbage, you said that we were worthless, this duel proves that no one in the world is worthless. And with a little bit of help from his friends, with a little bit of belief and a lot of skill that Yusei has, he's able to use that card that, of course, works perfectly. But hey, he saw that the way the Chief's deck was discarding cards to his graveyard. He has a card right in his hand, the Ruble King, and with that, the Runes other spell card or whatever. All that is stipulated on is having 30 or more cards in your graveyard, and when you know, his entire deck basically is in his graveyard, and that benefits him to give 3,000 attack points of damage to the Chief. It's great to watch him get electrocuted and hit with all those, those pieces of wood. The eyes go completely white and almost roll in the back of his head. Another moment where I thought for a second he was dead, and Yusei wins. Now, as soon as you see the Chief get up, he's not going to stand by his word, because he's not been a man of honor. He clearly has shown that throughout cheating and everything else. And it's almost a moment where, I don't know if any of you guys down below, I hope a few of you, if you've not, definitely watch the movie Gladiator. Because with Russell Crowe, does this not get a little bit of Gladiator vibes, where they're in prison, they're being forced to fight against their will. Yusei is being basically forced to fight here. It's in an unfair circumstances where the Chief is almost like the emperor there, and where he stabbed Russell Crowe and was cheating in that way. He's been cheating against Yusei this entire duel, and to have the whole crowd, all the prisoners chanting Yusei, like, it was a very Gladiator moment for me. And then in the Emperor's fashion, to kind of have the Chief kind of pick up on that mold and not hold his word, say, yeah, I didn't say that, and he's going to arrest him. He's probably going to take away the free time still of all the prisoners. Maybe he'll kill Yusei and Ayama, and Rex Godwin, of all people, he steps in, he saves the day for his own purposes, but for the moment, it benefits our heroes, it benefits Yusei. It also, he says a very dark thing into the Chief, saying that actually you're the person who is going to vanish, because you're not clearly, that duel was painful to watch, and you're clearly not good enough to run this facility. Because I think you could look in the sense that, oh, hey, the Chief got him down to 100 life points. He did pretty good against Yusei. Yeah, but he cheated the entire time. So clearly that's what Rex Godwin means, that it was painful to watch. That even cheating, you still lost to a guy that was using a mishmash deck from all these prisoners that he never really probably used most of these cards before, and he was still able to piece it together and figure it out. And that shows more and speaks more to Yusei's talent, but also to the lack thereof of the talent in the Chief. So very sinister thing of, like, is he going to have other purposes for the Chief? Are we ever going to see him again? Or is Rex Godwin going to straight up kill him? by implying vanishing, kind of seems like he might kill him. So we'll have to see where that goes going forward. Skips to the end where Yusei is getting out immediately, which seemingly implies that the rest of his gang is not going to get out immediately, but maybe they'll get out in a short amount of time. Grandpa and Himuro both give him cards that he could use going forward. Himuro gives him advice of someone that he can meet downtown that's going to help him out in his journey. Hopefully helps him out with a couple powerful cards. He's going to need them. And then it goes to Rex Godwin in his office. And you knew this was going to happen, right? Because even though Yusei didn't get in bed with him on purpose, whenever someone like Rex Godwin, the director's caliber, whenever you get in bed with someone like that, it's always, always, always comes with a price. And so when his assistant over there, that's apparently a guy, is saying like, oh, you're just going to let him go free, you know, like all that's going to happen, you know, hey, yeah, you know, we were never going to get any of his signer powers to come out if he was in prison. When you say something like that, you know it comes at a cost, because he goes, who said he was free? And they're going to set a trap for him, and they're going to monitor Yusei and try to draw the Stardust Dragon out and try to eventually draw the Crimson Dragon out. Yusei's leaving as the final shot, and we see that cop from the beginning of the show who has a scar from the last duel with Yusei. I think he's already dueled him twice now. He's going to be at least a regular nemesis, it looks like, through the early parts of this arc. He's going to duel Yusei at some point. So, guys, that's kind of my thoughts here on a great episode 10. A great second part to the duel of Yusei versus the Chief there in episode 10. Let me know what you thought of the episode down below. Thoughts, predictions, theories going forward. As I always say, throughout any of these reviews, whether Duel Monsters GX or 5Ds, please no spoilers in the comments below. I like thumbsing up your comments. I like conversating with you guys and really talking about things, but I can't really do that, and I can't look in the comments section anymore if you spoil things going forward. So please keep yourselves in check and do not do that for me, for my purposes, but also for yours, because if anything's spoiled for me, it then doesn't provide authentic reviews for me going forward, and that kind of negates the whole purpose of these legacy reviews and kind of the experience for you guys as well. So please be kind and do not do that, I should say, down below. But I still want to hear your thoughts. I still want to hear your predictions, your theories. What were you thinking of the times that you were watching these episodes? What were your favorite moments? Do you kind of have similar thoughts to me? Are you saying, Pete, hey, you're dead wrong? Or, man, he's going to predict that. He's going to look like such a fool because his prediction is way off base. I would love to hear anything like that. Anything positive, negative, anything. Just please be kind. Let me know that down below. I would love to talk to you guys. Stay tuned more to the channel for more reviews, streams that Dylan probably has going on. Crazy kind of things that are going in the almost less than 2 months we have leading up to Yugioh 7s. So please stay tuned to the channel for that, and come back next time for another Legacy reviews. I love doing these, guys. I hope you're enjoying them, and I hope you stay tuned to the next iteration of it. I will talk to you guys down below. I love you all. I hope you have a great, fantastic day, fantastic weekend that we're about to go into, and thank you, as always. Thanks for watching.